Hi, everyone. Lisa Haven here, and I've got a major report. I know lots of things are happening in regards to World War III or just tensions rising altogether. But with so many events happening domestically here in America, we had the 2 hurricanes, we have the earthquake shaking Idaho, or, an hour from Yellowstone. We had just all kinds of crazy things, the fires breaking out over there as well. And now we have Mr. Kim Jong-un shooting his second missile over Japan. This is huge. So what I wanted to do is just kind of get the state of the economy. Where are we at? Because things seem chaotic. Is it the right time to make certain maneuvers in the economy or not? So with me today, I have Charles Thorngrid with NobleGoldInvestments.com. So Charles, are you with me over there?
I am. Glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here. So what's going on? What the heck is happening with North Korea and war? Where are we at?
Interesting question. Obviously, we have a scenario where we have a leader who has a new toy, and he's not afraid to try to threaten people with it. It's the classic bully syndrome. And we all know that the common logic, there's only one way to deal with a bully. That in itself is the next issue. If we were to go and create another Korean War, per se, as we see now that we're giving South Korea some more weapons, and they're doing exercises on striking the area where these nuclear missiles that North Korea has, it's leading in that direction. It's never a good thing to talk about another war. We still have major campaigns going elsewhere, but we're at a different level now. We're talking a nuclear threat, and we're talking about someone who obviously has no respect for the rest of the world and what peace we want to try to bring. So it will have to be dealt with, and there is no positive way. You have a scenario where you have Russia and China that are both backing North Korea. And we've kind of talked about it. I think, if we look deep enough, we'd see that those two countries actually helped the North Korean nuclear program because they developed that program faster than anybody. So there's some issue there. You have the rest of the world.
You don't think China is on our side on that marker?
I think, I always try to look at a scenario and look at it from both sides. We have our side. We want things right for America. We like peace in the world. That usually leads to us being in the leader's chair, being the leader of freedom, trying to be the leader of economy. You look at another country where you say, we'll call China and say, they want that seat. They've been building infrastructure for it. They've been building commerce. They've been building manufacturing. America got to where it was because of the ability to manufacture items. So when we gave that over and outsourced that whole process, we gave China the ability to think, maybe we should be the lead. Maybe we should have the big seat. So China's going to do things for their interest. And because they're such a secretive nation, it's hard to know what they do and don't really do. They are the leaders of misinformation. So you have to look at it and say, if I'm going to evaluate this scenario, I have to look at it from their frame of mind, which means that these are the things they should be doing. They should be creating a threat that's not directly related to them. They should be interfering with our dollar. They should be interfering with the way gas is sold. And that's the new thing now. The yuan is now available to trade for oil. That was always the dollar's job for many years, since 1972, in fact, the petrodollar. So they're doing all the things to take our seat. So we have to be aware of that. And that leads us to this point. We can look at them and say, oh, they're horrible. And for us, they are. But for themselves, they're doing themselves a great service.
Do you think we're going to go to war with North Korea? Like a real one? I mean, look, he has an EMP capability. I did a report, years ago, I told people he's got that ability, and it came out in earlier reports leaked by congressmen and senators years ago. And then obviously recently now he's out of the bag. The cat's out of the bag again, as I like to call it. And lo and behold, he has the EMP capability. So I think Donald Trump is walking on some pretty dangerous ground here. And it may be what the globalists and those pulling the strings, what they want. Will we see war with North Korea, in your opinion?
It's interesting. It won't be declared a war. The first one wasn't, so this one really won't be either. It'll be a skirmish. And if we do see a war, it's not going to be something that the whole world takes part of. It's going to be a fractured war. And we've had too many of those. But we have that scenario again where we say, okay, do we allow it to keep happening and not intervene? Or do we do what we think is the right thing and put an end to this madman before thousands of people are lost, lives are lost because he wanted to play with his new toy? So it's a big question. And it's a big from an economic standpoint as well. Again, we have that whole infrastructure with China, but we also have the manufacturing base. If we see some form of a war, that manufacturing base goes away, because China's not going to readily supply things to us. We will say we're not taking Chinese products anymore, but we don't have the ability to replace it instantly. So we will run into a scenario here where a lot of our GDP is wrapped around products that are not necessarily made here in the United States, but they're under a United States-based company and they're manufactured outsourced overseas. So you have the lack of products is one issue, and then you have the lack of sales from the companies that are on the stock market and on the exchanges, and more importantly, on the bond market. That's where this all gets really hazy, because if you don't have the sales, how do you continue to say, oh, my stock should go up in price? And if the stocks don't go up in price, most people's investments go down because they're involved in the stock market in some form or fashion, whether it's a mutual fund, direct investment, their 401ks, their IRAs, annuities. These are all things that are based in the stock market. So it creates a lot of doubt. And more importantly, it'll create a loss of sales and revenue. So that will lead to an already overinflated stock market and bond market. It will put pressure on there. And that's where you see another return to lows on people's investments.
Absolutely. And where does that leave things like gold, silver, precious metals? I mean, economically speaking, because I know you deal a lot in that, and I have a lot of investors, amazing people. I think people who invest are amazing. So people who are investing in things that are solid, like your precious metals, where are they going for those people out there who are thinking about investing or are investing?
Right. Well, anytime you see the stock market and the bond market pull back, and when you see them pull back together, which I think we'll see, you have the counter effect. That's what precious metals do. That's why it's always been considered the safe haven, because it'll go up to help offset that loss you're getting from the other markets. And this is why people always say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And this is what metals do. They're that different basket for you. And when you see that decline on one side, the other side goes up, just like the seesaw. And that's what they're meant to do. And that's in the best case scenarios. In the worst case scenarios, you'll see where they not only offset the loss, but create quite a gain. And that's the important part of it.
So will war help or hurt those investing?
War will help metals investors. War, I'm going to say something here that's not so nice, but if we're going to be truthful, wars used to be great for the economy, because what it would do, and this is where it gets rough, it would create loss of life. And you'd have people being able to get better jobs because there's now more jobs available. And the industrial side of the United States then picks up to replace military items and war spending. But nowadays, that war is not the same. We don't have the massive loss of life that we did in previous wars. And that's why war always made sense on an economic standing. If your economy was horrible and you had a good enemy, you could go to war, you could create more jobs for more people, better paying jobs. So it helped economically. Now, we're talking big picture here. This is, your globally elitist kind of a scenario. For you and I, the loss of life sounds horrible. And it is. It really is. But if you're looking economics and you want to look big picture, that's why wars were important. It created a unity in the nation. People were willing to sacrifice for a cause. And it created military jobs, which is, again, just government spending, which leads us to more debt as well. And then you had these availability of new jobs now. But we don't have that. So the typical answer, and to go back to the question, is wars have always been thought of to help the economy. Not so much anymore, and we've seen that. We've been in enough conflicts over the past 12 years, and it hasn't done fantastic things for our economy either. And that's one of the key differences.
Yeah, and that's true. I agree 100%. I mean, it's a sad fact, and it's very heartbreaking, but I know leaders and those on top in charge, they spark wars specifically to stimulate the economy when you're in a very economically unstable environment. And I think that's a lot of people are aware of that. And that's, again, I mean, like, it's a horrible situation, and I hope we do not go to war. And like you said, I think we could see like a fractured thing. We could see, similar to what we've seen in the past. Absolutely. And we won't know which way the cookie's going to crumble, but either way, now is the time, not tomorrow, not after war, but now is the time to invest in precious metals, gold and silver. And you offer that at Noble Gold Investments. And you have a phone number even if people want to call that. And look, I just want to add a disclaimer. I am very particular about who I am with and who I do. I turn lots of people down, and I like who you are and what you do because I believe in your product and I know you know your stuff. So I've talked to lots of people who don't know their stuff, and I'm like, yeah, no. I need someone who really knows inside information, and that's you. So if you guys are looking to invest in gold, silver, do that through Charles. He is amazing. So can you share some of that information for the viewers out there?
Yeah, get a hold of us, give us a call. You can go to our website, Noble Gold Investments. But really what you want to do, and here's where most people get stuck. They have a question, they're not sure it's right, and they say, I'll get to it later. One of the easiest things to do is to give us a call and ask the question. We're very friendly. We're here to help. We're not a high-pressure organization, and you can see that in our reviews. And if you give us that call, find out, then you're using the best information you can to make a decision. So I think the most important thing is to give us a call. We'll get some information out to you. Look at our website, and then you can come up and say, okay, you know what? This does feel right. These are the people that they seem to be. Let me go ahead and start the process, or let me go ahead and get some more questions answered. So that's the most important thing. Give us a call.
I encourage everybody, give them a call. Even if you're on the fence about it or thinking about it, you can convert your 401k into a Roth IRA, right? You can do that. And so there's all kinds of things with that we can do also. So make sure you give them a call and check that out. And remember, it's an unfortunate situation with war. And, it's good to bring on somebody who is economically smart, I will say, a compliment to you there, Charles, but who knows what the heck is going on, because we need someone on our side like that in times like these. That is the bottom line of why I bring you on, Charles. It's good to have someone on the inside and someone on our side, because my hope is that we can beat the globalist game together, and you're kind of a part of how we beat their game. And how do we do that? Well, we invest when they don't think you're going to invest. You do things that they do, in a sense, but kind of keep under the radar. And this is the how we get better side. A lot of my channel is, well, here's the truth of what's going on, and there's a lot of bad things happening, but there are solutions, and you're part of that. So I just want to say thank you for that. Encourage everybody to give you a call.
It's always important to know that there's a solution. You find out the problem, and it's not just focus on the problem. It's to say, okay, here's the issue. Where's the fix? And that's what we try to do.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for tuning into my channel here. There's a link in the description box below if you want to check out the website. Also, don't forget to call the number if you're interested and have questions. Well, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.